Hello, everybody. This is a quick video that I want, hopefully it is actually quick. I want to go through the process of how to create a template so we can actually move forward the rest of the projects using that template. It usually take like 10 to 20 minutes, 30 minutes probably. Just set up like a new project. And instead of doing that every time that we need to do something new, sometimes it's actually good to create like a template. It will be like the baseline for the rest of the projects that we're going to be doing. I want to show you how I created this one. It's really opinionated version. What I believe should be there or not, like what elements should be added or not to be added, things like that. It's already not deployed, but it's already available in GitHub. But just instead of just give you the template, I want to show you how I created the template, so you will understand the different pieces and the different elements that the templates have. So this video is just for me to create a new template. So that will mimic exactly the same that the one that is already in GitHub and the one that we will be using for the rest of the projects for the semester. So for here, let's just create a new. I'm already in the folder, so let's do npm create bitlaser and let's call this template. We can put the name here. Let's create it. It's going to be a view. We'll be using JavaScript in this case. I will not use roll down this time. It's experimental. Let's keep it like the official version, the production ready. And let's install it. Let's wait for a minute. It's supposed to be running. Let's verify that. And let's see. Yep, it's right there. So our application is up and running and empty. So let's clean it up and make it the changes that we needed. So let's close this. Open the template. And I can use code dot, or you can use your Visual Studio Code and go open the folder where you had the project. And let's open this one over here. Okay. Let me just, in my case, just because I have server profile, let me change the one for the class. Cool. Now that I'm here, let me close the chat on the right. We don't need it, not at the moment. And we have the basic project itself. Let me just keep it running with npm run dev, so we can verify that it's doing. I don't know where it stays here. It's doing what it's supposed to. So the first thing that I like to do is just clean it up. Right, so clean it up. We go to source directory, application view, remove the script tag. We don't need it for now. Change all this to a simple h1 with a hello there. And remove the styling. I need to close the div one. Cool. And let's see. Yeah, just there. Let's remove the rest of the styling for now. Oops. Let's see. That will be promoting the style CSS. So select everything, delete it, remove. Let's remove this logo. We don't need it. Move to trash. Let's move my styling to the assets directory. Not sure it's a good idea, but let's do it. Okay, the component. Let's remove the hello world component. Main.js, we need to change the style for now. It came from assets style. And that should be it. Main template. I think we can keep the name of template for now. Oh, the icon for the image, we can remove this. We don't need it. What else? Remove the public one. Delete. Okay. asset style, components empty, and everything should be there now. Quick review. You can keep the readme as it is for now, or you can change it later, but let's keep it as it is. Okay, and I think we have just a basic empty project. It just broke. Let me try to close this, run it again. Looks like the style importing, missing .css. Oh, now we have simple, basic hello there application. Okay, so before we start adding elements or start putting there, I want to do something in my Visual Studio Code, so it will be easy for me to develop or to program this application. We go to the extensions. We already have the Vue official extension, and there's a couple of more extensions I would like to add. I would like to add ESLint, the one from Microsoft, in several millions. We installed this version. It gave me the option, the pre-release. I don't know why, but I will just install it. And the other one is called Prettier. And we'll configure those in a little bit. Not the one that says Prettier ESLint, the one that is came from Prettier directly. Also several millions, not the 4 million one, like the bigger one. And this is the one that will be updating. Cool. So what does two extension does? Prettier is a code formatter, as you can see here in the name. And I actually have those over here. It's opinionated code formatter that will let us know like how the actual code should be through the project. It will let us like things like following this code, fits a single line, or we change it like, well, need to be like a several lines, like specific areas, and we can set up the IDE or Visual Studio Code to address those rules and to actually work in the project. It's actually pretty neat. ESLint, what it does, analyze your code and quickly fix basic problems. It's built for most text editors and can root ESLint. For example, all those typos that I have been having issues, ESLint will catch those. Let's say, hey, you don't have this specific with the specific rule, of course, will tell you like, hey, something need to be declared, not to be declared first. The rules for the function should be like this. Like there are specific rules that you can set up here and there. So now that I have that, let's actually start installing those, right? One last thing that I want to do after I have those two, I want to get back to my project. I want to add an extra configuration to my bitconfig. And this is just for convenience for me. So I will import from, and this is came from Node.js. From Node URL, I will import my file URL to path and my URL object. And why I need that? Why I need those? Well, because I have, let's do just an extra configuration I want to resolve, and I create an alias. This alias, what it is, whenever I put an ad, I want to tell to create a new URL, and this URL will be my source directory. So this what it does is whenever I reference the ad in my code, I'm actually looking for my source directory. So you remember sometimes when you need to import something and then you need to navigate through the folders, to will alleviate the issue. So in theory, I should be able to come here and instead of going to the current directory asset, I know that I can go all the way together to add asset, style CSS. This was already reloaded. And my page is working how it's supposed to. Cool. Okay. So next one, let's install ESLint for the moment. And it gives you here a configuration that we can start, and it goes through through a process. I will skip that and show you the way that I do it. And sometimes it's just a little bit better for the type of projects that we have. This sometimes very opinionated, so let's just go to the one that I have. So here, what I will do is I will open my terminal here in Visual Studio Code. I hope that you're able to see that. Let me see if I can make it this bigger. No, it's probably too much. Font terminal. Let me see font terminal here. Let's make this 18 too. The console, debug console. Nope. No, it's not there. Integrated font size. Here you go. 18. Okay, it's a little bit better. So here we're going to be installing some package that I think we need to be creating. Actually, before that, I forgot about this. So we're telling Vite how to handle the alias. We need to tell Visual Studio Code how to handle the alias. For that, we need a new file called in the root directory called gsconfig. It's not used anymore or not that common, but it gives us some basic configuration that the IDE will be able to handle. Now, if we are in a TypeScript project, like usually that's already there and it gives us a lot of elements, but because it's a JavaScript, we just need to create this one. Sometimes it's better to the editor to know what to do. So I will paste this. I will tell Primo include everything inside the source. This is for the autocomplete area. And the base URL is here, and the path I'm telling that everything that is at, it should go for anything that is inside source. So I'm just duplicating that. So Visual Studio Code knows those a little bit. And before I continue, let's actually, yeah, I will not do the source control because I will not be saving this. I already have the template. I want to show you what it to be doing. Okay. Now that I have that, let's actually install ESLint and show you the configuration that I've been applying. Let's do npm install -d. -d it means the development in the development dependencies. I want to install ESLint, and we'll be installing ESLint plugin Vue, and we'll be installing at ESLint JavaScript. There's some rules that are basic rules that we will apply here. Wait that to fetch and to install. Oh, Vue without the W at the end. Okay, cool. Now, so we have those should be already in our package.json. We can see ESLint is plugin Vue and ESLint.js. Now that we are here, we can make some changes and create an ESLint configuration. All those are in the ESLint website. You can look at those through there. But what it says now that we have installed it, we need to give specific rules. And the convention right now is eslint.config.javascript. So the first thing is I will import JavaScript from ESLint.js. I will import my plugin Vue from ESLint plugin Vue. Right. And it will require this config file as a simple export default, and it's an array. This array will have a name. Let's do files to lint. That's like in the name of the mini configuration, and we'll specify that every file that is pretty much with the follow pattern. So with every file in every subdirectory, which has a specific comma zero, a specific extension. So we're looking for everything JavaScript or MGS or GSX or Vue files. We're telling which file need to look at in order to make those changes. And we're just keeping the scope so it doesn't do any other files or get out what it's not supposed to be doing. Let me add another rule. And that rule will be name. And the name will be application files to ignore. So because these usually are more computational time in order to go through the process and you go through all the different files and things that we have in our computer in the project itself, we just need to tell which one just need to skip and don't look at. One of the biggest one is actually the node modules folder, because that's where we have all the dependencies installed. So we just need to tell which one need to be ignored, and we can do ignores. We can give a bunch of files. So here I already have those. It will be faster if I just copy paste the configuration. Right? So we're telling everything directory with a distributions, SSR, coverage, or everything node modules, just to be ignored 100%. And after that, I will say, well, apply my recommended any JavaScript recommendation, like the basic one, that's the ESLint JS plugin, what it does. It has a set of rules predefined, but we're just telling it like skip those, like you apply those actually. And after those are applied, we need to apply everything that our plugin view adds. Config, and this is a different pattern, and we'll do the recommended. So we'll do flat recommended. Cool. That will allow us to do a couple of cool things in our code regarding what to be doing in our file. Now that we have that, we need to install Prettier. And Prettier is the one that will format the code. And we need to tell ESLint. ESLint sometimes have some rules that override or are in conflict with Prettier. We will go to make those work the way that it's supposed to be. So now that we have those, let's actually just install npm install as a dev dependency. I will be installing Prettier. We'll be installing ESLint config Prettier. For now. Okay, Master been installed. We can keep it right now in our ESLint config, and we'll tell ESLint config, hey, we have Prettier in our file. So in our project, be careful about it. So let me just verify the configuration, and it's just importing ESLint config Prettier from ESLint config Prettier. Cool. And we're just telling it at the end, use those, right? Cool. Now, in order to make Prettier work, we need to have a couple of files. All those are in the Prettier configuration. We need to have a dot Prettier rc.json. And here we define through a specific schema. A schema is like the rules, like what we should be looking at, and will let us know that what we can do. I have some predefined that I want to be adding, and those are the basic ones that I usually use in every project, and it's very opinionated. So I just like, well, my print width I like to be 100 characters, usually like 80, and when it's 80, like start doing like jump new line. I don't like that, so I just make it a little bit longer. I make sure that my configurations always is a tab width use space. That's why tabs is false, and it's two spaces. And I like the semicolon. Sorry, to be false. I don't like JavaScript with semicolons at the end. It's just a personal way to see that. What else we have here? Another couple rules. Single quote. I like to enforce single quote instead of double quotes in my JavaScript files. And I like to have a trailing comma at the end, just to never forget that that comma should be there. Then we'll do another rule for those, like bracket spacing. Whenever we have the bracket, we need the special spacing that should be true. Bracket and stem line should be false, like that. Sometimes that can be different lines. And arrow parentheses in the arrow functions, always like to have those parentheses through there. And there's a couple specific for Vue. Well, one is specific, the other not much, but like to add it those two. That is Vue indent script and style, just to false, and single attributes per line. Like there's just a bunch of rules that we enforce it through the process or file itself. To make those work, we need to have some kind of commands that will allow us to execute or to verify those. So we already have the development, the build, and the preview. So I like to add four more. Those are lint check, format, and format check. And that's pretty much like just go through the linting process and the format process. So if I do a npm run format check, that will not be making changes, just to verify. Yeah, everything looks good so far. So let me change something here, and let's change this to be double quotes and save it. Let's see what happened. Hey, code style issue found in the bulk file, in the sourcing, in the main JavaScript. Why? Because I had it with the double quotes and I have enforcing single quotes. Also, if I do a semicolon here, save it and execute one more time, it will tell me that particular file is having issues, right? So if I do a simple format without the check, it goes through a process and you can see my file automatically changes, removing the semicolon and the double quote to single quote. That's one of the pretty cool things about my LinkedIn here. So let's something like this. And I think this actually should work. If I execute npm run format, you see that extra tabs, you just get aligned. That's what I needed. That's what I like it. Let's do the same here in the view file. So when we have something like this all over the place, that doesn't make sense. And we format those. It didn't change it the way it's supposed to. Oh, wait, you didn't save it? Let me save it first. I didn't save it. Let's try one more time. And you can see it. It just changed my denting because I do it to 2, draw all the way to 2. If I go one more time in my Prettier JSON, I change the tab width to 4. Go back here and run format. You will do that. It will be the intention of 4 across the board, right? So that's the pretty cool thing about Prettier for the formatting style. It removes that headaches about removing out extra spaces here and there, and it's pretty neat to be handled in our project. Now, if I do npm run lean check, everything looks fine. Let's see if we can do something like in the main JavaScript. We can do const not used equal to by. I'm declaring a variable and I'm not using that variable anywhere. So right now it's saying like, hey, its value is never read. So let's see if that actually works. If I do checking, yeah, you can see right there, hey, not use as assigned value but never use. It's one of the rules. So I can see that part. Also, if I do console.log and let's do not use without the uppercase. This is a typo. It doesn't exist. We'll say, hey, console is not defined, not use is not defined, and not use is assigned a value that never been used. So, okay, hey, well, okay, I can fix this through here, put it there, and just the console one, but that's another thing. We can fix that somewhere else. But that's pretty much how it works, and what it does is start helping and understanding a library you code, and it will have that kind of elements that we can be using or applying in our configuration so we can actually see that everything doing well. Now, one last thing that I like to have, and this is actually pretty cool, but let me just make this like this. And let's make a couple of semicolons at the end. And a really bad indentation here. Let me save it. There's an extra step that we can do that will help us a little bit in these cases. And it's like how to make those changes automatically without needing to run a specific commands. Commands are really cool. It's a way to validate. But how can we make Visual Studio Code to actually see all those changes? And those are actually simple. If I do command comma or go to settings, we can look for a couple of things. We will look for editor formatter. I would like to change this to Prettier. Then we will go for action on save. It says that we need to change it here. I will say sort fix all. I will not specify any specific rule. I will say like fix all in general will be actually explicit. Cool. What else we can do here? Let's back here. Let's look for format on save. I will say yes. And that should be it. So that means if I came back here, look at this. Now I see that curly lines, and those are the exactly same errors that we had it in the console. But now we're able to see it through here, right? So because we're able to see it through here, we can see, okay, what happened with this line? Oh, no use is not defined by ESLint. Okay. So that means that I have an issue with the variable. I can see right here, oh, it's never used. Oh, I have a typo. So if I fix it, you can see that this is another one. But forget about this. You can see, oh, now that error is not showing there anymore, right? I will keep it as it is. If I save it, it didn't do what it's supposed to. Okay, let me actually fix this. Remove it. This. If I save this, it didn't fix it. Oh, something happened here with more Prettier having issues. There you go. It looks like now it's out the configuration. That means we didn't have the configuration enabled first. So if I save this file now, it's giving some kind of issue. What is the problem? There's an issue with the Prettier JSON file. Let's see with the Prettier RC JSON file. Okay, when something like that happens, it does and looks actually good. I will do Command Shift P and do reload and do a simple reload of the window. And let's see if that actually helps to have everything together. I don't see the red thing anymore. Here. If you see an issue like this in the problem about the package JSON, this is quick fix. Go here, quick fix, configure trusted domain, and add the JSON schema store as a trusted domain. And close it. That's it. Cool. Let me just go back to my main JavaScript. If I save it now, you can see everything got changed. Let me reverse it back. We had semicolons, we had the double quotes. If I do a simple save here, I was trying to see where is the save button, but well, I will do Command S to save it. Everything just got fixed right away. Because now we have the auto suggestion and the auto save working that way they're supposed to. And it's pretty neat. It's very, very careful. So I like that a lot. Okay, I think we have most of the project already done. What else we can apply here? Well, let's talk about a couple of elements that will be needed for the project. One of them is Tailwind CSS. Tailwind is a way to apply best practices in Vite and have a control of your design without handling too much CSS file, and handle that through different Java classes in your HTML or Vue file itself. And it's actually pretty neat. So it's a utility-based framework to style your site. And you can see it works a little bit like this. So instead of going to the CSS and applying display flex and things like that, you just display like a different utility classes, and those are applied to a specific element. So I don't see the animation anymore. But let me refresh it. As you can see, like when you have something like this, and you start adding the different elements, look like how it's actually changing live. And it's pretty cool. Like just change the text and the font, text sky, change the color, gap. So you're going to have a little gap here, I think. There you go. And make the text gray. Item center, gap 6. And the cool thing about this is when it's bigger, you can have specific sizing. Well, when it's bigger screen, make it flex row. If not, it will take the flex column by default. So you can have that different patterns. And it's actually pretty neat. I like this a lot, but like a lot. So let's install it. And I will show you a little bit of what we can be done through that. So we can install it and we can use using Vite. We already have it. We need to install Tailwind and Tailwind Vite. It doesn't tell us to install it as a development dependency. I like to install those as development dependencies. So pretty much what I will do is just copy this, going back, doing and paste it. But before, then I will do -D to install those as a development dependencies. Cool. Actually, we install it. It says that I need to go to the bitconfig file, import it, and put as a plugin at the end. Let's do it. Go to the Vite config file. We need to import it. Oops, I closed that part. I didn't copy the way it's supposed to be copy. There you go. Paste it, and then here in my plugins, we have the view. We just put that one after the fact. And you will see that that's through there. Cool. Now that we have that, what are the next steps? You say like, well, we just need to import the inner CSS, add import Tailwind CSS, and that's it. And make the reference to know to do different changes. And let's see if that actually works. So let's go here, add styling, we just put that on the top. Cool. And that should be more than enough. So what else we can do here? We go to the application here. We'll do class, and we can do something like text bold. Let's see if it actually works. No, because it's not text, it's font. I need to remember those. Font bold. There you go. As you can see, it's removing like the extra spaces too and the size, because now we should be able to handle those like text 3 Excel, for example. Now it's making bigger with a better font. That's actually cool. And we can do something like font and blue 500. They have like a bunch of predefined and pretty nice colors, to be sincere. It's not font, it's actually text. I forget which one is text, which one is font. So let me put text blue 500. You can see it's doing it where it's supposed to. Pretty neat, right? Now, how many classes do they have? They have like a bunch. So you go here through docs. You have all for the layout, for the column, break it after, for flex, the different classes, the gap, the spacing, with a specific number, with 3xs, 2xs, like things like that. And it has different sizes, and it's pretty neat. But sometimes it's difficult to remember all those. I'll be looking at that. So something that I like to install too. They have remove the CSS Tailwind. They have from them directly, the several million ones, the intelligence that give us here in the editor to be able to see a couple of those. So that's actually pretty neat. So let me install it. And after you install that, they actually recommend through here to associate the CSS files and to enable the quick suggestions, right? So let's do that. So let's copy this. And here you can actually, in the settings, you can file association, add item, and we do CSS. Should be Tailwind CSS. Be careful how you put it. Cool. And the other that they recommend us to do is the quick suggestions to strings on. Let's look for that. Quick suggestions to string is off by default. Let's change this to on. Cool. And now you can see here the text blue, it has now the color, so we can able to see it. And if you put your mouse on top of the properties, you get a different type of properties that we have there. So let's change this to blue. Let's reload the page. Command Shift P, reload, or Control Shift P if you're in Windows. If I do line here, let's see if the autocomplete is working the way it's supposed to. Give me a second. Okay. Was looking something, and then I find that somehow my strings Quick suggestion, change it to keep it as off, then put that on, save it, just in case. And the other one that I needed just to see if it's there, the file associations. That one stayed. Cool. So now let's do a reload and let's make to see if that actually works. Let's close this, don't save it. Somehow here. Strings quick suggestion stays as off. I'm not sure why. Let me do another one quick. Okay, look like now it's keeping it on. Let's see if it actually works. There you go. So if I do blue, I can see different sizes of blue. There are shadows and everything. So I can select a specific one and I will see how the color it is. And if I want to make, I don't know, font, I can change this to light. It's giving me a you cannot have font bold and light at the same place. Let's just change to light. And that will allow me to see it through here. So with that, it's pretty neat to have those apply correctly. But now, because we are actually going to be working with Prettier and Tailwind have a bunch of classes, those guys have a Prettier plugin that's pretty neat. This Prettier plugin, what it does, is help us to have the correct formatting on the classes and to put those in the correct order. The way to install it is just to install the Prettier plugin and put it as a plugin at the end. And then it's asking us that we need to define all style sheet. Where is it when we're using Tailwind version 4? That's pretty much what we're using right now. So that means we need to copy this. We paste in this here, but before enter, I just need to remove Prettier because we already have it. And we just install the Tailwind plugin. We go back to the Prettier settings, and here we just need to install or define those two elements that we had it. The plugins, Prettier plugin Tailwind, and we still do the spreadsheet. It actually is. It's in the source directory. So Prettier will know where to look at. So we go back to here and we save it. Let's see if this actually changed. We have the text to Excel, blue, and font light. If we save it, I think we have the correct order. Let's change the order to see how that actually happened. I think it looks like fine for now. Let's reload the window just in case. Let's do, what else we can do? Background, red. I like that. And I will give you like that reddish thingy here. And we can actually change the size here. We can do class, height, screen. Until like the div will be the size of the screen. And let's actually change the background now to here. And they will allow like to do the whole page background. So that's the pretty neat things about Tailwind itself. Let's see what else. Somehow my Tailwind Prettier configuration is having an issue. We can see it right here in the Prettier area. And I can see the invalid string for my Tailwind style sheet. Looking at the documentation, I can see that it's actually need to be sent as a string. And I think what I'm sending is actually an array. And that's an error. So let me get back to here. And yeah, This should be something like this. Let me save it. Let me reload, just to cache everything that should be cached. Prettier is not complaining anymore. If I go back here and I save it, let's change spaces. You can see that if I have my phone at the end and try to save it, it will automatically put it in the middle. Like it do that, like the best practice is where it's supposed to be in a way. So let's put, like, for example, the background before the height. It's best practice to have the height before the background. They have like some kind of rules there. So you just put all together the way it's supposed to be. That's pretty neat. So one last thing that I want to do here. I want to have navigation in the page. And that's the next big step that we're going to be having in our application, is actual navigation. And that will allow us to move between pages in our single page app. So before I'm actually moving forward to that, let me just change a couple of designs here. I will do just make a flex, and I will do flex call, right? If I do that, oops, I don't know what I'm doing. There you go. Okay. Now that I have that, I can change my view to be a main. Let's actually move this and do a main element. And here let's actually put the h1. Let's do the hello there. And let's make this class will be flex1, items, center, justify center. If I save this, yeah, perfect. It's just in the middle. We can do grid probably, and item center probably will be faster, but that works too. And here, let's just make it some classes will be a really big text. You can see now the different sizings, and we can say it in rems and pixels how much you have. Let's actually go to something big. Let's do font thin. There you go. And then make this text late 800. Like, it's not black, but close enough. Yeah, I like that. Hello there. Cool. And now that we have that, we'll be installing our Vue Router. Vue Router is a way to tell JavaScript in the Vue application how to handle different elements as a pages itself. So we allow us to have the direction in the browser. And the way that single page app, what it works is everything is created in JavaScript files, and JavaScript will be pushing that information to the HTML itself. And because it's pushing that information to HTML, we usually have one unique HTML, and we need to be telling it like, well, now change this content to another content. And we'll be doing that for now. So in order to install it or to get started, you can go through here, and it's a simple just to install the router itself. I will show a couple of configuration that's really basic. So let's install it. Now there is there. The best way to use that and how the application works is we need to go to the main JavaScript file. And we need to create a router that will be injected through here. We can create the router here, or we can have our own router file. I like to have my own router file, sometimes even my own router folder. But in this case, let me just make a new file, call it router.javascript. And here will be import from Vue Router a couple of elements. We need to create a router and handle the web history, right? Now we need to import a home page from, and that will be in my pages, could be, or view, or pages. It's actually the same. Homepage.view. This file doesn't exist, so we need to create it. So let's go source, new file, pages, home.view, home page.view. And what I will be doing here is my content, my main, will be actually here. We do the template and we put the content there. Cool. Now we need to tell the router. Now this exists is something that it works. We need to tell that, okay, we need to create routers, and those are an array. The first one, we need to see the path that will be taken. So we're telling this for my root directory. I will call this route home. And I want to use the component home component, home page. Simple as that. And after we have that, we need to build a router with the create router function. So cross router, and it's create router. And here we need to send a configuration file. And we need to specify the history. We'll be using the web history. Oops. History, create web history. And we need to send a route. Of course, we need to export by default this router. So we have a router element here. If we see the website right now, it should be empty because we don't have anything there. Everything is inside in the page view, the content, and our application you just have an empty div. That's okay for now. So now, in order to make it work, we just need to import it before our application. Import router from router. And after we have the router imported, before mounting, we need to let that we need to use the router. Cool. Now would I let know that we are actually using a router? It's still not working because it's something very similar when we create components and we need to send the slot area, the slot tag. So something that is as child need to be rendered. We'll be doing the same here. In our main application, we're telling that under our main div, we need a router view. And whatever the router have, it should put it there. So just because with that, and we refresh, and this actually should work. Let's close this to rerun our dev And let's try one more time. And it didn't work. I love it when it didn't work. So let's go here, let's go to console. And we have an issue with the router in line 6 in the main file. Let's see what we have. Main JavaScript here. I think something here didn't like it. So we're importing the router and we use router and we mount it through the app itself. So actually this looks good. Router itself, homepage routes, router, exporting router. And we exporting that and import it through here. And because the default doesn't need to be in curly brackets, that's why we just import it as it is. And we can see here the alias is see that it's type router. So it's working. So why didn't like it? Very, very interesting. Okay, there's some issues here. Look at my console. I can see my route history is having issue. It's not a function. So I'm doing something wrong, and I think I found it. So when I call this is a function. And when I'm making the history, I'm not actually executing the function. So you need to change this to this. And I think that should be it. Yeah, there you go. Now my content is reflected here. Pretty neat, right? So let me create another page. And let me show you what I mean with that part. So I will create here other page.vue. And this is just I'm another page. And in my router, what I'm going to do in here, we just add an extra route defining the other page. And that should be really, really simple. It will be through here. So whenever I go to /other, and tell an import this particular page. I'm doing this particular version because I want to show you something really, really cool. Oh, this is actually in pages. Well, okay, everything works. And if I go here to my network tab, let me show something cool. Router is here. It's getting and the home page is actually getting imported. But the other one is not. The other one is just going to get imported whenever I do order and click enter. Now can see I'm order page. And just imported that page directly. So that's a way to just not to bloat the browser of your client. So you were sending JavaScript on demand whenever it's needed. So here we can see it right away. We will go to /other, open the other page. If we remove that, it's open the main page, depending the directions that we have. Now, 404, we are not handling for now. So something that doesn't exist, it just doesn't show. And it's fine for now. So, but now the only thing is that we actually to put other here, we need to reload the page. And there's a way to do that without actually reloading. And that's using the router links element. So the same time as router view was introduced, we have something called router link. That's actually pretty neat. So let me go to the components and let me create a new component itself. We'll call this nav menu. I'm typing in the wrong window. There you go. Nav menu.view. And a space that I have. So here is well, do it. Well, just having a specific classes, but I'm telling I have a nav element that is flex center with a gap, and I have two links here. One that goes to root, and the other goes to go to router. And the root is called home, and the other one is called outer. Now, by default, then like whenever I hover the link, you need to put underline, and I think the underline should be offset, so it will be separated from the word. Now, router link have a specific tags. When the link is active, it shows it have a class of active. So I'm telling like here is telling like if it's active, keep the underline. So simple as that. And if it's active, keep the offset. It's just not hover. Keep it whenever this route is active itself. So now that I have my component, we can go to the application view. And now here we can do a simple import, and we can just call it just before our router view itself. So we're making a component that will be fixed, and everything below that is what we're going to be changing now. So we'll get back here. As you can see, we have the outer and we have the home. So now we can click home. And let me refresh this, so I will revert all the chunk of elements. So you can see here, I send the home, I send the nav menu, like those have been sent to the client, but my other is not. But whenever I click here, other is being sent, and as you can see, no flickering, because I didn't post it or repost the page. I'm just changing through JavaScript the content of the page itself. And that's the pretty neat. And that's the main concept about the router itself and how to deploy the project. Now, this video took already like an hour, and I think it's just too much. And because I'm just explaining it, but imagine being doing this for every project that we'll be working through the semester. I think it's just too much. So that's why everything that you saw right now in this particular video, it just got saved in his particular template. So I just want to give you the concept of how that was created. So now we can move forward and use the template itself. And the template will be this particular one through here. And I think it's called Vue Basic Template. And I just change the README. So I give you like it has Vue 3, it has the Vite 7, Tailwind CSS-4, Vue Router, ESLint, Prettier, and all the elements that we call it. We have the extra tool, we have the structure of the file, Tailwind CSS-4, right? And you will see Prettier JSON, pretty much everything that we added today. Oh, I forget to put the Prettier ignore. It's something really similar to the Prettier. The ignore just said which one should ignore and not to do Prettier elements. What else? The bit config is pretty much the same. And the sourcing, we can see here I just change it to, instead of pages, to views. It's the same. And I have an extra reference to the title. But other way around, it's just pretty much the same as the crowbar. So the way that we'll be using, and you will see next in the next video, is going to come here and click this button over here. I save this as a template, and you click use a template, we can create a new repository. And now we can clone that repository and move forward with the project. So that's it. I hope that you like it. Meanwhile, if you have any question, any doubt, don't hesitate to reach me. Happy coding, everybody.